Hello to all my dear friends. I am Amir Biparva, a lecturer in the Interior Design course. In this session, we intend to let's light this space using sunlight. Well, the way we did it before was using HDRI, which is a background around the space. But V-Ray sunlight does not have this capability, and we have to create a background for the windows. So we want this space only with the same V-Ray sunlight. Let's turn it on and do the lighting. We don't have anything to do with other lighting. Well, many people like the sunlight to fall in the space and find a real and realistic state that can be of this kind. The first thing we do is take a rendering of this space. There is no light in this space right now. I take a rendering. You can see that it is completely dark, and well, we have no light. The first thing I want to do is give a background to these two planes that I put here as our background. Every image I want to see should be dedicated to these. But how do we do it? I open a material, I press the M button, I choose one of the balls. I select it from the standard menu. First, you have enabled vray from the rendering menu. Render setup, and now the section has been activated so that you can see this map and material. V-Ray light MNTL guys. I choose here in the no map section. I have to put the image I want for it. Well, I came here, for example, I put this image and drag it in the section. No map. Now we can change the size now and then, and let's put it in this, and this is the part of the piece. We also set the show shaded material to it and see how we put the light on black so that it can be seen. That part is the color of the light, and so on. I set it up. Let's see in the camera view like this. Our background can be any picture. Now you can put it so this V-Ray light gives a light of its own, but we don't have an ambient light right now. That means the first layer of light that we put is the ambient light, which we don't have here. And I want to use the sunlight, so here I can put a sun from the lights and V-Ray menu, and here I select the V-Ray sun like this. So here it says to put a sky for the environment. That is environment that connects to each other. We have to press the yes button here so that this sky is formed. It is not just the light of the sun itself. So I'm going to set it up. I'm going to set it up from here. The light of the sun itself is not the same as when you select the V-Ray sun. A light comes into your environment. That is, if here default sky is a sky that is connected to the sun, that is the whole space, it lights up. If I take a render every time, you can see that the entire surrounding area was bright. But before we put the V-Ray sun, this didn't happen. Everything was dark. So this is the first point. The V-Ray sun layer consists of the V-Ray sky layer that lights up the surrounding area and the sun itself. We have two parts. So what happens now? Let's take a test render. Well, the environment is lit up, guys. Look, the previous. And if you bring up the previous one, the environment is completely lit up compared to the previous one. But what is the reason that I don't see the sunlight? The reason is that these plants that we put as the background here are exactly in front of this sunlight, and they block the sunlight. That sunlight cannot directly enter the area. So what do? I select vray Sun. Look, I'll name it what? Okay. Here, for example, this is background 1 and this is background 2. The name is specific from here. He also has xCloud in his settings. He selects xCloud. From here, you can click on background 1 and background 2. This means that these two do not block the sunlight, meaning that the sun's light does not act on these two, and in fact our light and sun no longer benefit us. Now we can see its effect. Let's see. Okay, here we didn't have any light, but I came and excluded it. Look at these two plans of background. Now it's coming. Yes, you can see that our sunlight it came like this and took up base. So what other settings does it have? I'm coming here in the sunlight. Take a moment to look in perspective. Now I'm selecting these settings that are important. And here, one is intensity, which conveys the intensity of the light. Well, in this space, we don't want to touch the intensity of the light too much, because let's understand what happens. I turn the light intensity from 1 to 10 and see what happened. So you see that the bone was created, and also I can put it on a 10th when the space became dark. So this is the first option, that is I put on 1. I'll leave it, but the second option that works for us is the size multiplier. Well, it's the size of the sun. If we're being precise, the small one that has the sun is in this size. Now our current size is this. The shadows are very sharp and don't have that softness. If we want to have soft and natural shadows, we prefer the size. We have to increase the size of the sun, which means that our sun should be bigger. I put on 10. It becomes softer and a more natural. It's not very noticeable in the test renders, but it's noticeable in the final renders, and you can see that the edges of the shadows are softer in the final renders. I think if it is better, the smaller it is, the sharper the edges of the shadows will be. So here it is. Another option is to even relocate the sun itself. Look at the view. You can see the front and the left side too. 50, we can move it around. Even the raise and fall of your height has an effect. Look, now I will move it up so that you can understand. So I move sun to the top, that is, I increased its height. Time also creates time. For example, when we raised it to morning mode, now let's bring it down, see what happens. The intensity of the light and the color of our space have completely changed. This is an important point. Then I took it with a high altitude. Now what do? I lower the height. Well, see what happens. I'm going into the camera view C. You see, it has found a similar sunset, meaning our light has found a similar sunset of time. You see the color of the light there, but in the previous state, it was early morning, meaning it was not sunset and it didn't have the color of this, so its height had gone up. In this case, the color is more whiter, for example, early morning, but when the height came down, it became sunset. We are in this state. It turned a little orange and looked like a croup, meaning it was a sunset time. So here it is. So another point is that the location of the sun can also affect the color of the light and what you want. As we said, the larger the size, the softer the shadows. The color of the light changes as the sun height raises and falls, and the higher or lower it is, the closer it is to the sunset. This is the point. What else do we have that's important? Well, I'll come down. Well, there's another option there, color, which is currently white. We said, well, the color of light naturally changes with the changes in the height of the sun. Now, let's take, for example, color. Someone wants to change the color of the light to yellow. See what happens. It's getting brighter, but it's artificial. Why does it affect the spaces? I mean, our ceiling is getting brighter now. You can change the color of the light like this. Let's change it now. It's where he wanted to warm it up. He'll bring it a warmer, for example. A little bit can be done on this color. Now it's warmer, but in general, it doesn't have much use for this option. Mostly moving this part up and down is the useful. Well, I mentioned the important settings, but what's the difference between the two? The direction of the two wasn't important at all, but it was a scratch. The angle, the size, everything can be different, and it affects the lighting. You see, I've caught it now. The angle of the sun, and the sun is from that side to this side. Now I can reverse it from this side to that side. So the angle of the sun is very important. I can bring it to you. From this window to the other pan, where the sun falls here, you can see the full direction of the sun, the size of the sun, everything from this window. So what this is, the difference with HDRI light is that it doesn't create a background. So what happens if I come and hide these two? Hide selection, we'll find out. There is a skylight that does not have the usual light, that is the background behind the window. This and the angle of the sun itself are all factors in the light that we studied. We're going to receive it and also see if it's high and pan. Let's sharpen it again and take it up. We don't have this warm light anymore. Now look at the temperature of the light. It's very warm. Oh, we have a higher light with that intensity of heat. It is not. And now our space has improved, but if someone likes the light to be warmer, he can bring it down and change the angle. Well, this was one of the important points that V, Ray sounds lighting had, and well, we put ambient lighting for halogens or hidden light sconces next to it, but well, in this meeting only we wanted to explain what the sun looks like, and now we don't have to do anything with the other lights. So I hope you get enough use out of this tutorial, and until the next tutorials, God bless you.